A few months ago, I discovered the 28 Lessons for Turning 28 videos by Cliff Weitzman and Ali Abdal. Their concept inspired me to make this video, which will go live on my 20th birthday. Here are my 20 lessons for turning 20. Lesson 1. You can hold a belief without being perfect in putting it into action. As humans, we don't like inconsistencies between our actions and our thoughts. That shouldn't stop us, though, from updating our beliefs. You can argue for climate action without being perfect in reducing your own CO2 footprint. The same is also true for this video. I can talk about the lessons I learned without being perfect in following each one of them. That doesn't make them any less valuable to me or anybody else. Lesson 2. Help other people without expecting anything in return. In the transactional society we live in, it is too easy to apply the same principles to interactions with other people. It takes effort to escape the mindset of looking what you get before giving. Helping other people creates its own value, although be it not as obvious as money. Lesson 3. Never enter a conversation believing that you're right. Instead, always be aware that there's plenty you don't know and can learn from the other person. Discussions where all participants are open to the ideas of the others are not only the most productive but also feel the best. I would actually go as far as to say that only then the talking of two or more people becomes a conversation in the first place. If your opposite isn't as open as you are, try to make the first step by listening to what they have to say. And if the other person truly isn't interested in your opinion, then either leave the conversation, or if that isn't an option, you might as well see if anything useful can be learned. And be it only what not to do. Lesson 4. Stop complaining without taking action. This is probably what bothers me most in conversations. People talking about problems or what bothers them, but not to find a solution or to look for change, but solely to complain. There is a huge difference between talking about insights on a problem to understand it in a new way and talking just to complain. Lesson 5. Don't work, improve yourself, or put in any effort solely to get ahead of others, nor to please them. It isn't a desirable nor sustainable source of motivation. Do things because you have strong intrinsic reasons to do them. There will always be somebody who is better than you are in any one aspect. But it is your unique perspective that will bring forth a unique combination of attributes that will differentiate you no matter what. So it is up to you to decide how you go about doing that and what you focus on to what extent. Compete in your own personal race. Lesson. Yeah, I think I reached the limit of what I can show in one hand. Anyway, lesson 6. Focus on what you can control. It will save you quite a lot of pain and energy. In whatever you do, there will be forces involved that you cannot influence. The smartest move to improve the odds of success is to put all your energy towards your side of the equation. Lesson 7. Spend more time creating than consuming. As much as I love reading a good book or watching a film, taking your insights and transforming them into an output is vital. You could draw. Well, maybe it's better I try something else. You could make music, or little videos, or write something, whatever it might be. It doesn't even have to be something creative. Just take what you learned and make something of your own. It is harder than watching the next episode of your favorite show or another YouTube video, but don't let that stop you. Ideas and insights can only become valuable once they lead to action. Write, shoot, edit, repeat.
Even though this is a principle about filmmaking, it is true for whatever you do. Go through the whole process of creation to a finished product, then start the next one. Finish it and repeat. The best way to improve is to repeat.
Lesson 9. Come to terms with the fact that there is no such a thing as perfection. Only by letting go of the illusion of perfection can you become truly happy with yourself and your work. Rather than measuring your success in absolute terms, compare it to previous iterations of your work and look what you have improved at.
Lesson 10. Learn to say no. Learning to say no means becoming aware that there is no way to do everything. Avoiding to say no is not to choose. Saying yes to every external request and internal desire means involuntarily saying no to a deeper exploration of anything. Saying no means admitting that there are only so many hours in a day, so many weeks in a year, and so many years in a lifetime. But it also means taking responsibility in spending this limited time on what you value most. Lesson 11 then is, if you do say yes, give it your all. Once I get over the feeling of missing out when settling on something and actually commit, the activity starts to be really fulfilling. No longer for the excitement of being new, but because now actual progress is made, value is created, and insights are gained.
Lesson 12. Your calendar is your best friend. I cannot grasp how people who do not live with their calendar as a constant companion can do anything. For me, it is the basis of everything I do. It tells me when what happens. This clears a lot of headspace to think about more important ideas. It also gives me a good overview of how much I can actually fit into any given day. An additional piece of advice is to not only schedule events that include other people, but also schedule everything else that happens in your life. Lesson 13 fits into a similar category. Don't rely on your brain to keep information. As soon as there is something that sparks my interest, I take out my phone and write it down. There's an interesting insight in the podcast I'm listening to. I'll pause and write it down. I have an idea for a shot in my next video. I draw a sketch. An interesting question forms in my head. Well, you get the idea. A little warning. Never fall into the trap of thinking, what a brilliant idea. I don't have to make a note. I'll remember it. Lesson 14. Look after your physical needs like sleep, nutrition, and exercise. I often find that if I don't feel well or am not happy with my day, it comes down to neglecting to look after these. If, on the other hand, I get a few nights of consistent and long enough sleep, I feel like a changed human being. Lesson 15. Don't smoke, don't drink, and don't do any other drugs. It does not make sense to me why I should take any of them. There are the obvious health reasons that we are taught from a young age, but which everybody seems to forget as they get older. But I don't even see why I should take them for their effect either. Stories of people who have been drunk, for example, are anything but appealing. I'm so happy with my sober self that I do not want to change that. Lesson 16. Keep a diary. I have started to write more or less daily diary entries about 2 years ago, and there are two main benefits that I've noticed. It is a tool to remember. I can go back and read through a week of my life a year ago and see what I did, what I thought about, what I felt. The probably even more important benefit comes from the action of writing itself, reflection. Looking inwards and taking the time to be with and listen to one's own thoughts. Lesson 17. Be grateful. The most practical way I found for practicing gratitude is a simple mindset shift from I have to I get to. It stops taking things for granted by becoming aware of the fact that nothing is a given.
this isn't exclusive to uncomfortable situations either. It might sound pretentious, but the internal change that happens by waking up and consciously saying to yourself,
I get to wake up and live another day.
is wonderful.
Lesson 18. Carpe diem. For me, this expresses the notion of living in the now. I am living today, and I therefore want to use that day. Because today is all there is. This isn't supposed to propose that one shouldn't make plans for the future or work towards bigger goals. It's supposed to be a reminder not to fall into the trap of confusing being time with expecting time. Not to trade the present for an imaginative future. Lesson 19. Become a rationalist. I strongly believe that the world would be a better place if more people relied on logic rather than intuition to make decisions. I see people around me making questionable choices every day because they follow what they know out of experience without reflecting if it rationally makes sense to think or act that way. A big part of it is that only informed people can make decisions. Only after seeking information can a guess become a decision. A good example for this is the climate crisis. We like to give responsibility to the individuals, for them to make decisions, for them to alter their lifestyle. The only problem is that for this to work, the individuals have to understand the problem. And as the climate crisis contradicts our intuitions in so many ways, just trusting in people's guts is probably a terrible idea. People have to become rationalists to solve the problem. And finally, lesson 20. Hold strong beliefs, but hold them loosely. Hold beliefs, fight for them, defend them to the best of your abilities. But don't be precious about what you thought to be true. If new, convincing evidence comes along, be ready to change your belief. It takes courage to admit that you are wrong. It is uncomfortable, but only by doing so can one move forward. While the lessons I talked about in this video have proven themselves useful time and time again, I cannot guarantee that any of them will hold against the test of time. Maybe tomorrow or next week I will learn something that will change my view on one or more of these questions fundamentally.
And that's it. These were my 20 lessons for turning 20. I am sure that I left out a lot of what I learned these past 20 years, but I hope that the things I did mention inspired at least some reflection and consisted of a few interesting ideas. Thanks for watching.